In this video, I'm going to give you a little bit more information about how to use the mouse to edit the input values for different types of input values for unit commands. So I have the single shooter scenario open. It's a scenario that I've made my own copy of. I have my own copy of the single shooter units data set so that I can edit these units, and this is what we've done in previous videos. So as I click on different units in the scenario, they get highlighted in the map, and I'm in edit mode right here. If I'm not in edit mode, they won't be highlighted, so I'm in edit mode. And what I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to create a few more units that have different types of input, so I can talk about how to use the mouse to edit different types of inputs. So I'm going to right click on the map, say new unit. I'm going to click a red truck formation. I'm going to give it a name. For now, I'm just going to call it something silly formation. I'm going to give it a first waypoint, double click on that, and hit finish. And so now I've got 3 more units in my scenario. And if I hit play, these guys are going to just move in formation. So we're going to go back to this guy. And we're displaying him in the units window, and we're displaying all of his commands. And as you already know, as you click on different commands, the inputs that are available or that are required by that command are listed here in this window. And if they're optional, it'll say they're optional. Before I talk a little bit more about these inputs, let me just mention one thing. If you click the help button that occurs in all kinds of windows in Forge, it will open up the Flames documentation to the topic that explains the window where this help button is located. So I can also open the Flames documentation here, and that will open me up to the whole document. But these buttons will open that same document, but will show you the topic that is relevant to the page, the window that you're on. So I'm going to click this, and you can see here it just pulled me right up into the Flames documentation, and I'm right in the place that talks about editing input values. So if you want more information, or if you forget the information that I give you in this video, you can always go to this topic and read about all the different kinds of inputs and how to edit their values. And again, you can do that on the buttons all over the Forge user interface and some of the other Flames applications as well. So I'm on this unit called Formation 1, and we've already looked at how to edit coordinate values. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit more. Whenever you select a given input, you will get a set of buttons up here at the top that will become active depending upon whether or not these buttons are relevant to the type of input that you've selected. So I can't pick speed with the mouse off of the screen, so these buttons are inactive, and I can't really do anything here. So all these buttons are all inactive for speed values. The only way that I can set speed is to either type in a value, and I can always type in values for inputs with my keyboard. In the case of speed, we have this other little box on the window that comes up, and you can mouse into that box and then use the wheel on your mouse, and if you go up on it or down on it, it'll change the speed value by a fixed increment. So that's the way you can edit speed values. Speed, like location, has a unit of measure associated with it, so you can always change the unit of measure to a different value if you prefer to use a different unit of measure. So this unit of measure field will only show up if the particular type of input has a unit of measure associated with it. So that's location and speed, and as we mentioned before, you can also right-click on a given input, and this menu will give you the same options that are available in the buttons that apply to that type of input. So these 2 buttons and these 2 menus are the same thing. And if you have a pop-up menu and something shows up here, double-clicking on the input will always activate the top-level entry, which is what I usually do. I'll just double-click on a value. And if it's a location value, of course, you can also just drag the value right on the screen. You don't have to do any other mouse operation. Now, speed doesn't, I right click on that. There's nothing I can do with the mouse with speed, with these buttons with speed, but I can go over here and change its value. So now I'm going to look at another data type, and for that I'm going to go to the use formation. And in the case of formation, this is a name of another object in the scenario. There's a formation object in this scenario. We talk about that in another video. I can't pick it from the screen. There is no display of formation objects on the screen, but I can browse to select a value. So this will show me the formation objects and let me pick a value from the window. This particular formation it has to support a particular interface. So that the message down here, the description says it must support this interface. And that's talked about in other Flames videos. When I click this box to display the formations, if an interface is required, a certain interface is required, it will only show me those objects that support that interface. So it helps you along to make sure you're putting in the right kind of value. If I have a value in here that is not a legitimate name or it doesn't support that interface, it's going to turn red, and the overall command will be red. So I need to make sure that I put in the right kind of input. So Forge is helping you make sure that you enter the inputs correctly. Another type of input would be a name, but in this case it's the name of a unit. So this particular, it's still a name value, but because it's a unit, I can pick this unit from the screen. I can also get a list of them here, so this shows me all the units in my scenario, but because it's a unit, I can double click on it and just pick the name from the screen. There is another value here I can show you, so I'm going to go here to this guy, and he has a heading value, and this is an angle, so you can use the mouse here to change the value of that angle. So that's the overall flow. When there's something you can do on the screen, it will show up graphically. If you can use the mouse, that'll give you these buttons right here. If you right click on it, you'll also see the same options. So Forge is constantly giving you the tools you need to not only quickly specify the values, but make sure that the values that you enter are the right kind of values so that you get accurate inputs and accurate commands. So before I finish, I have just one more thing I want to point out. The inputs section down here on this window is exactly the same as the input section that you get when you are creating a new unit. So this is actually the same code in Forge. So everything that I just told you about how to edit inputs for commands also applies to how you'll edit inputs when you're creating a new unit using a unit pattern. So whatever you learned there will also apply here. That's all that I want to tell you now. It's, again, if you need more information on editing input values with the mouse, you can click this little help button anytime you want. Thanks for watching, and thank you for choosing Flames.